we have something to offer. But if you have to buy something called cognitive diversity, we're not your people. And I really think it's not really a thing that's going to provide what it purports to provide. But if you really have to buy the words cognitive diversity, I can refer you to the guy who's the top guy in the world, thought leader, brilliant, with his firm, who is the real deal in that, who like contributed to creating it, right? But it's not us. But if you want something that is truly substantive, I can talk to you about an elemental practice that'll blow your mind and is actually a change of state, a change of paradigm on a fundamental level on how every person operates in relation to each other.
Quick question,
I have a
Doug.
meeting on Tuesday, and I'm done.
Quick question. Who is the top person in the world in that?
I'm going blank, but it's Thinkific. He's in California. Let me go looking. I'll look it up while you.
The reason I'm asking, I'm just asking. Okay, I'm asking because as a self-declared marketing expert from working in marketing for a long time, I can't be an expert unless I'm up on the trends. So I took this week to find out what's going on in that field of marketing. And I stumbled upon one of my heroes in the industry, which is Seth Godin, who is quite the trend leader. And his trending topic this week was trust. And he's mentoring about 1,000 to 2,000 trust consultants who are all starting their own business and commoditizing trust. And it was quite mind-blowing that this is actually what you just said. This whole thing is trending in large corporations. It is mind-blowing that people are buying the teaching and training of trust, the glue that holds the fabric together for any organization to function at a strong level, both economically and efficiently, is trust. And commoditizing trust was mind-blowing this week. And I didn't think you could. I went to a few of the websites of these top trust leaders, and their verbiage was bullshit, but people are buying it. And I would venture to say, as a packaging expert as well, working in the packaging field and creating secondary packaging for the skincare industry and then, beverages and medical, package it any way you want, Doug. I mean, if they want to buy that, tell them they're buying that. And then when they open the package, it's your thing.
Our tagline is, we're selling nothing.
Are you Jerry Seinfeld?
We're not. No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. If we actually are working toward the transformation of the world, the paradigm shift that has us doing us differently enough to survive as a species, repair all the damage we've done, you can't do that using old tricks, using dark arts, using the tools and the modalities of the old paradigm, which is taking the meme of trust and turning it into a commodity, running it up the flagpole, making a chunk of money out of it, and writing the book and whatever until it burns out and the next thing comes along. That's not what we're in the business of doing. We're 100% aligned and clear that not only do we need to help people do it differently, but we have to do that differently.
Yeah, I love that. I'll just, do you mind if I retort?
And we're doing it. And we're doing it.
Do you mind if I retort?
Sure.
So I love that. And I love that you're clear about that and you're thinking 2, 3, 4 steps ahead, but the industry is not. And so gathering market share at this moment in time when things are trending and hot is the way to create the new paradigm. So if you happen to leave that on the table, I would love to hear what Anna has to say, because I think you're shooting yourself in the foot. At the same time, I respect the lineage and the line that you're doing to keep the integrity. But if the integrity happens with 2 companies as opposed to 8,000, it might not be a paradigm shift. And
so Stacy was next, and then Anna.
Okay.
And just as a tag, I don't believe that.
So I just really wanted to say that if Alex G were willing, I'd really would like to hear what he thinks.
I don't know. I don't really think very much at this point. I'm just trying to sort of absorb the conversation.
What's your background, Alex? I don't know you at all.
I'm an artist. I'm an interdisciplinary artist. I make music and I make visual art and I write.
Thank you.
I was just going to say I'm blessed to know Alex because he is a beautiful interdisciplinary artist. I was very blessed to have a couple wonderful conversations and take a view of his world over near Montreal. And the amount of art that comes out of Montreal is amazing. And I really like your art a lot, Alex. I hope I give enough likes on Facebook to let you know that.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you to your face, I really like your art a lot.
Thanks.
Ditto for me, by the way. I'm a major fan.
Awesome.
And the other thing, I think that's important to when you were talking about the water and the soil and all that, to just for all of us to always be, like I always think of it as like a group of monitors, like just always be checking and making sure that something's not missing because we can't do it alone. You know, we're always going to miss something. So.
Does anybody else have their hand up? I can't see the videos.
Oh, I was just going to say also I want to introduce you to Tyra because she is an amazing artist and her colors are off the charts. Like, and the art is amazing. So we have two incredible artists at the moment, maybe more. I don't know who else is an artist here.
Anna had a hand up.
Did you want to speak?
Alex, you wanted to say something?
Wait.
Anna wanted to go first. Oh, wait.
Well, Alex G, did you want? It sounds like you wanted to say something. You were looking for hands up.
It was just about what Doug was saying and what Joshua added is that I think there is something to be said about like sort of like having something spread like wildfire, you know, like in getting market share. I know it's the old paradigm of competitive, capitalistic, materialistic, physicalistic, like climbing the ladder. But at the same time, if you can slip in and get eyeballs and ears, and you know that I think that's also a good way to go. Although I'm intrigued in the new way of getting contracts with multinational corporations without offering anything. I'm complete.
Yeah. So I wanted to support Doug's way of doing it because doing it the other way, first of all, you won't achieve what it is that Doug wants to achieve, which is the transformation of the world. I mean, this is no small thing. And you have to have total integrity to do that. It's no good using the old means to try to develop something which is going to transform people. You have to start with knowing that something bigger than ourselves, and this is the thing I think that Stacy, you know, you're saying that we can't do this alone, and that's absolutely true. I think we need to really feel that there is something which is calling us to make these shifts, that the whole situation that we're in the way that, you know, climate change and everything that's happening, it's making it so clear that we have to shift internally, and that has to be done in a way that is totally honest and totally integrated with knowing that what we're doing is what we're supposed to be doing, not any sort of feeling of underhandness. It's got to be right out in the open. Like, trust the fact that they're coming up with trust means that there's something beginning to open that they realize. That, because trust is one of those, as Josh was saying, it's very basic. But you can't commoditize it. You can't sell it. You can't put it into a package. It's something that has to connect very deeply inside yourself. And that has to be an experience that you discover. It's a discovering. And this is where it also links up with what Glenn was saying. You know, we can't imagine that these heavy industries are going to want to somehow connect as human beings. But they do. They are human beings. And somewhere in there, you know, in all this shit that's been going on, there are still human beings. And they have some inner realization that something is calling us to a better being, a better future. Yeah, Tyra. You're muted.
You're muted, Tyra.
I wanted to say a couple of things. First off, Doug and Josh, I don't understand at all what it is that you've made, or when they're talking about trust and these, I mean, are you creating a software system? Or, okay, so that's, I'll let you answer that, because I don't understand what it is you're selling. I know it sounds like you're selling a concept, but are you selling something like software to people to help them? Okay, so I'll get back to that. But what I hear Anna saying, and I think it ties in to what Doug and Joshua are saying, in order to sell these concepts, I guess, is, you mentioned experience. People have to have an experience with it. But I think for anyone to rally around things, like Stacy was saying, is storytelling. So when we bring something new to the world, a new idea, or even just trying to get your employees to get on board with an idea, it helps to do storytelling. Storytelling triggers that sense of empathy. I can put myself in your shoes. And as soon as we start storytelling, we're sharing an experience around the fire that we've been doing since the dawn of fire. So my feeling is, I want to try to understand what it is you guys are creating, and a little, I mean, just for somebody who has I'm not a tech person at all, but does storytelling help what it is you're striving for, and what the person, Joshua, that you were listening to, is that what will bind us together and help us move forward? And I have no idea if that makes sense, because I don't truly understand, Doug and Josh, what it is you're creating. Thank you.
Josh, you want to go first, or you want me to take a whack at it?
I want to hear from Anna and Alex. Thank you for saying that, Tyler. Really, thank you, because we're in our own little paradigm. We've been having this conversation. Doug yelled at me for about 40 minutes over a year ago about it's humanity first, period. We're not doing it the old way. It's humanity first. And he's very staunch about the way that he would like to create the change in the mindset of large corporations. If it's not going to be all of it, I'm sorry, I'm speaking your words, Doug, for you. If it's not all of us, it's none of us. And that's a very strong integrist viewpoint, which I'm trying to have him be a little more flexible about. In order to get all of us, try to chip away at the giant block with tiny little chips. And he's like, no, I'm taking a sledgehammer and I'm cracking the whole fucking thing open. So that's sort of the conversation we've been having, if that makes sense. And we can go more into detail. I'll let Doug do that. And with that, I'm complete.
Can I just say one thing? It's what we're doing here. This is what Doug said. It's actually what we're doing here. And it appears to be nothing. What are we doing? It's nothing. And that's why it's sort of magic, because, you know, in a sense, it is nothing. It's just being. But it's being in a way that is
Organic.
honest, that is who we are. We're just being who we are. And that's what people want to be, really. And they can be. The thing is, everybody's got this idea that you can't do that. No, I can't imagine people being themselves.
Bingo. Like, that's the thing. Nobody believes that an individual being has unlimited generative capacity and potential. Any single person can change the frickin' world. Any single person has the intrinsic power and capacity to change the world in every single instance. And nobody believes that. Like, nobody, like, we've forgotten, we've lost touch with that. Nobody believes it's possible. Like, Glenn doesn't believe you can do it without structure and hierarchy. It's like...
Hey, he does believe it. He just said he didn't know how. Don't put words in Glenn's mouth, please.
I can clarify if you want, because now it's a little more peaceful here, so it's easier to speak. But what I hear you say is that by changing the being, you change everything. That I totally believe. But it sounds like when you're saying you don't want any of that old stuff, you know, if the being is already changed, then it's not the old stuff. Because you can use structures, you can play with structures, but the purpose is different. So if it's truly different, if the purpose is truly different, not the package, but the actual purpose behind the action, then it seems to me you can play with all kinds of structures and get out of those traps.
It's an unbounded, unlimited universe of choices, possibilities, and options. Structures is one of, but like, it's not at the top of my list. You know, it's sort of like, I'm not starting there. Like, there are much more significant things that are, you know, pulling my time and attention from a being place than structure. Like, that's a really abstract thing out of, you know, 1700s. Like, who cares? That's the only frame of reference.
But aren't you totally reliant on structures, though? I mean, I don't mean a group of, let's say, 5 people, but we're also whole nations, we're a whole world. So with large populations, how can you not have structure?
They're failing all around the world as we speak.
Water on tap isn't failing. That's structure. That's a structure of pipes.
Yet.
I'm pretty happy about it.
Stacey,
Failing in a lot of places.
Stacey raised her hand, and then John.
I just want a quick caveat. I got you, Stacey. I'm just letting you know. We're trying to have structure where we raise our hand, and I saw Stacey raise her hand. I'm fortunate to be on the iPad so I could see her. So that structure, Stacey, I'm trying. Go ahead, Stacey.
Josh, can you introduce the person that you're with?
After Stacey, yeah, I would love to.
Hold on. First, I'm going to say what I have to say, because this goes to my original point, and I don't want to overlook the part of what Glenn is saying, because by the mere fact that Doug opens and closes this room, he sort of has this unwritten kind of authority. Let's just, not that we all can jump in when we want, But, and to his credit, it's because of who he is and how he behaves that we're able to do this. If, for instance, though, the person that I spoke about was the one opening and closing the room, I don't think things would work the same way. And so I think, to Glenn's point, we can't say that, you know, we need no structure at all, or even in terms of the roles, what Doug was saying before, there is a need because certain people do not have that kind of makeup to do what you're doing now, what Sam does on Saturdays, what I think most of the people in this call are capable of doing. And with that, I'm complete. Now you can go, Anna.
I think Josh was next.
Well, just in response.
Yeah. Okay.
Josh was gonna introduce.
Well,
But
here
yeah,
we
I
are.
would just like to say that if
Oh, go ahead,
people don't have what you think they should have, then structures are not going to make up that deficit. Just going to say that. But anyway, Josh, I would love to meet the person that you're with.
Yeah, I would love to introduce, and I'm just saying this is the moment, that space in between where we get to figure it out of how we do ourselves better, how we do ourselves differently. And I really like what you said, Stacy, is the glue is we've trusted, we've gotten to know Doug, and we say, yes, go ahead, open the meeting, Doug, moderate it if we need it. If we don't, we'll help you. And the fact that we're all trying to help, I try to help. That's why I saw Stacy raise her hand. And the only reason I got to see that is because I switched from the iPhone to the iPad. Otherwise, I wouldn't have seen Stacy raising her hand. And so it's a real, you know, that moment in between is what I was trying to bring up with my dad's story of him raising his hand with Ram Dass and how that hierarchy, he was trying to bust that hierarchy. And luckily the guy behind him saw that, but we don't always see the guy in front of us or behind us or to the side of us. And when I was asking him about hand signals, he was showing me these hand signals with 3 fingers that are, what has he got it? The pinky's down, so you've got 3 fingers, then you've got 2 fingers, 1 finger. The pinky up is a pause, and it's all complicated. And how do you see it from different angles? I'll be glad to teach it later on because I made him explain it for 24 minutes, so I actually understand it now. But how do we do that? How do we signal? And then I said, is it signaling for other people? And he blew my mind and said, no, we're not signaling other people. It's a signal for ourselves. And if other people see that and recognize it, that's beautiful, but don't expect it. And that's the complicated mess that we're in, is to signal for ourselves. And how do we know when something's stirring within us that other people are interested? And I think that's the paradigm shift. Doug, you got the interest of 1, possibly 2 companies. How do you signal to the rest of those companies so that they get that interest? And what happens if they don't? And does the trend shift? And do we lose? And that's the risk that you're taking. That's your decision to say, if they don't see it, that's their fault. We shine bright as we could, and we told the world what's going on. And if people don't want to come to us, and that's the thing that I'm growing and learning, is to expect other people to be at the place where you are signaling who you are and to be seen, is like the 4 agreements. Don't have expectations because they're not necessarily going to see you. And can you live with that? I think Doug can live with that. I personally can't. I would rather do it the other way. So I'm here with Cusella, and she's the reason I'm in Sonoma. She's working on a beautiful business. I'll let you speak because she's been on a couple GCC calls.
Hi, good morning, everyone from California.
Good to meet you.
I wanted to say hello. I do have to go back to some Zoom calls. I work with the Healthcare Association or Union, and I'm also studying Eastern medicine. So I'm really curious to catch up on what you're talking about structure. But I was just thinking about this documentary Joshua showed me, and I took 2 screenshots, and the second one was that form follows energy. So I just want to acknowledge, I appreciate and admire all the energy that I'm hearing in this exchange between you on the GCC, and thank you for letting me join for a moment.
Thank you.
Good to meet you.
I wanted to add something about all the corporations, and there's thousands of them. They have boardrooms, and the members in the boardroom are all walking around saying, "What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We've got to do something," because they know more than us probably that if we don't act, we're going over this cliff. We're going to lose all our shareholders. We're going to lose everything. So they're all walking around saying, "What are we going to do? What are we going to do? We've got to do something. We have to come up with an idea." And then along comes Doug. Over.
Tyree, you raised your hand.
Well, I'm still going back to what do you do, Doug? And also just to tag on what Joshua was talking about, the hand signals, because I've noticed with the face masks how much I rely on lip reading and how much I process information cognitively with the whole face. So to have part of the face covered up and also to have my own face covered up, I feel at a loss because I communicate a lot with my facial expressions. Living in Los Angeles, when you're out and about, you have a different interaction with people than you do in a small village where I moved from. And so culturally, wherever you go, you kind of adjust yourself to, a New York, Manhattan mindset on the streets. And now we have these masks. And I find it very anxiety provoking because I'm missing this subtle element of connection with everybody I'm around. So I like the idea of these hand signals, and not just for Zoom calls, but also, moving forward, looking at potentially another year of Los Angeles wearing masks. So I like this idea of introducing hand signals that... Anyway, Doug, what do you do? Can you just explain it in really layman terms?
I am a advocate for the following things, and it's a short list. So, first and foremost, human-centered, human being-centered. Second of all, values-centered. And the frame around the values mean for me is that whatever you're saying, doing, enacting, or expressing is additive to the commons, is positive and adding value to the commons. And never at the expense of another value or the cost of another value. So that it's value-centered, human-centered, and that it is present and emergent, meaning it is grounded and rooted in right here, right now, this moment. What's that about? Human generativity happens in the present. We create in the present. What's happened in the past we can't do anything about, and what exists in the future hasn't happened yet. Where the present is where the future is being made is right here, right now, in this present. That's where the action is, for want of a better way of putting it. In our current culture frame and the industrial value system, your being, your experience in the present moment is completely irrelevant. Your only value is as a cog in the machine, as a productive unit who generates things. That's one dimension. The other is your value is only acknowledged, recognized because you accomplish doing well or better than somebody else, or you know and have greater wisdom and knowledge and expertise than somebody else. So people are reduced to those two dimensions. I walk around and I see people, every single individual, every man, woman, and child on the planet as capable of unlimited generative potential, meaning any one person can create anything they want and set their mind to. They can conceive of it. They have the power and authority and agency to think it. And they're in alignment with their sharing and expression of it to others. And they motivate and drive collective action toward making it happen. And no force in the universe prevents the thing that they thought from manifesting the way they wanted it to. And that it's not more complicated than that. The current culture and system we live in has a very, very powerful and compelling driver to keep me either rooted and anchored in the past or fantasizing about a future so that I'm not thinking about where I am right now this minute. Because the minute I connect with my power authority of the ability to generate and create, I'm not controlled anymore. I can't be suppressed anymore. I can't be contained and programmed and made into a slave. I'm free. So people are cognitively in servitude, are emotionally in servitude or deadened to the point where they're not even in touch with how bad the reality that they're being subjected to is. They sort of are at a point of being just numb to how unbelievably anti-human, anti-being, on a whole being basis, our world is. So what I am doing is I am providing experiential containers that enable people to reconnect with their agency, their voice, their power, their feelings, individually and with each other, even if but for a minute, even if but for a 90-minute Zoom session. And by doing that, changing their lives and changing their companies, because if they're awakened and aware, number one, it feels better. It may not feel good because circumstantially they may be in a real shit show, right? But it feels better to be aware and awake. And they're empowered to awaken others, and it's viral. And that's something that spreads, that can spread. Not by artifice, Josh, not by program, not by marketing, not by design or manipulation or incentivization or threat, right? Or coercion, right? It can happen organically. And I believe, whether it's a mom and pop or whether it's a multinational corporation with 550,000 global employees, that one megalithic global multinational company buys, 2 buy, 3 buy, they all buy. I'll get them all. And it'll happen completely organically because it'll be perceived as a transformational, competitive, critical need. Like, what are they doing? because their change is going to be evident if it spreads. And I believe it's already spreading. I mean, I already, like, 4 people in this company in different parts of the world, in different divisions, doing different things, self-organized over the course of 3 sessions, where the 3rd session they were given an opportunity to do this, self-organized and agreed to reconnect and meet every 2 weeks going forward without an agenda, without a goal, without anything concrete or specific for why they were doing that, other than to just reconnect and be with each other and to see what happens. And on their own motion, they also each agreed to bring one other person. I just infected that company. That's how literally I look at it as my mission. You asked what I do, Tyra. My mission is to infect the biggest Darth Vader bad actors on the planet with their humanity. Reawaken that, turn it back on, open it up. And bottom up, change, have them figure out how to change their action. I don't care what they do or how they do, but I believe and have faith in the people in those organizations that comprise them to do appreciably better from a place of awareness and awakening and presence in their humanity. So that's what I'm doing, and I think it's a new field. I'm one of a kind. I don't think anybody else has come anywhere near what we're playing with. And what we're feeling in the middle of it is that it's unbelievably powerful. Like, we're tapping into something and triggering something that has just unbelievable energy in it. It's just, these people awaken. You can see it. Their faces change. Their expressions change.
Josh, go ahead.
Thank you. Well, Doug, I love your mission. I am blessed to get to know you over time, to truly try to grok it and understand it. And I just want to say, the paradigm that you're looking at when you say marketing, as it's a dirty word, that's my mission, is to change that paradigm so it's not a dirty word. And I know we've got 2 artists that I know of here on the call, but I think we have 3 or maybe probably 4 marketing experts here in the room, which is Alex's marketing is quite brilliant. If you look at his screen, he's got a lot of storytelling without even saying a word. And that really is the genius of marketing, is to be a storyteller. Now, if you're telling a story that manipulates, gets over, smacks you in the face, smacks you in the face, smacks you in the face, that's a story that's obtrusive. I've fought my whole career against that. In the internet world, when they had, it was called pop unders and pop overs. I got on to the conference call, actually it was a one-on-one, if I remember correctly, of the CEO of FastClick, which turned into DoubleClick, which got bought up by Google, and that also bought the company I started called Commission Junction. And I told them, you're a fucking asshole, and if you keep doing pop unders and pop overs, I want nothing to do with this industry, and I will step away. And I did. Because it's obtrusive, and it's no way to market, it's not integrous, and it doesn't have the values that I represent. And when I hear you talk, Doug, I feel that, if you work with marketing people that have the integrity and the values you do, then the communication can be even clearer. And I would like to lead your campaign. This is the marketing that I'd like to do. I don't know if you can see it. I'm trying to. It's bridges, not walls.
I love that.
Yeah. And that can be a symbol for what you're doing. It doesn't have to have this logo, but that would be a nice marketing campaign. Bridges, not walls. And I believe Stacy is an incredible storyteller. Every time she tells the story, it's clear, concise. You know what she means. She doesn't bullshit. She gets right to the point. And to me, that's a marketing expert. Like, she could start a marketing company right now and make many, many, many clients and do successfully. And Josh Swinder is also a marketing expert. When he wants to tell a story, it's clear, concise, right to the point. And so there's 4 marketing experts on this call to help you. And the one thing I noticed you didn't mention was the most beautiful work that you and Fabian is doing when you're explaining what you do to Tyra. Doug has started a values foundation and wrote, I think it was 2 years in the making, maybe probably more than that. How long did you and Fabian spend writing this amazing book about what values is, defining it clearly? How long did you spend?
Well, we're still in process on that, but we've been working 5 years.
Is that why you're not sharing it at the moment, because you're still in process?
Well, the manifesto is shared, but the book is still in the works. We got diverted.
The manifesto's brilliant.
Yeah, we got diverted.
Can I ask something? Josh, can I ask you something? Did you understand what Doug was saying? Did it, I mean, apart from the fact that you could market it, did it make sense to you? Did it connect with you? Could you feel what he was talking about?
Yes. I'll answer that with an emphatic yes.
Yeah, Josh gets me.
Yeah.
I know that. Yeah.
Not only do I understand, I don't want to take it lightly, but in communicating in that marketing form, there's actually a book I would recommend, Doug, if you haven't read it. It still holds true from, I think it was 1990, and it was written by Jack Trout and Al Rise. It's a very famous book called The 22 Immutable Laws in Marketing. And since then, there's been 4 or 5 spin-offs and republications with Jack Trout and his wife, etc., the this, the that, the new one for social media, blah, 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 blah. But these immutable laws still hold true. They can be rewritten. And those laws will change your paradigm, because when you say the words, nobody else is doing this, that is breaking one of the immutable laws of marketing. And one of the laws is it's better to be first than to be second. And if you can't be second, then be third, because third is much better than second. Don't be second. So either be first or third, and it will explain why it says that. And one of the examples is, if you're McDonald's, you're first in fast food, which means you have to spend the most money to try to figure out where to put your McDonald's restaurant. And you have to do all the metrics, all the research, the millions of dollars. Whereas if you're second and you're Burger King, you just get to put one across the street. And then if you're third, let's just say Wendy's, then you get to put one across like 4 blocks away or close enough, but you're not spending all that money. And really, storytelling is much like politics. It's a money game. And it's 5 to 6 times of telling your story before someone wants to listen, which is why what you said, Anna, is so brilliant. Did you hear the story that Doug said the first time? No. Did I hear it the 27th time he said it? Yes. And then the 28th time today, it resonated deeply. And I'm lucky to have heard it 28 times so that it can come in. But without that amount of repetition of a story, it's hard to let it sink in and retell the story, which is the word remarkable. If you can't retell a story, your marketing isn't working, because you have to spend money. But once everyone has conceived it and they start telling it, then you've done your job in marketing. And the reason I think marketing gets such a bad rap is because we have to sit in the office next to the sales force. And it's our job to check in with sales and say, okay, we told the story. How many people are buying that story? And that's where it gets disgusting. But really good, network marketing is all people telling the story and then having all this hierarchy of a pyramid around it. That's disgusting. There's a lot of marketing that is gross, but there's some really, really good branding type of marketing where you're just being yourself, being authentic, being true to you, and letting other people come to you. And that's the type of marketing I really like. I spent the last 7 years learning branding, which I thought was disgusting for the first 10 to 15 years of my career. And then I found people that do it in a way that is integrous with my values. And so branding is good when done right, disgusting when done bad. But I'm not trying to get into some marketing lecture, so I will say hello. I think Sam joined the call, saying hello to Sam, and I concede the floor. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening. And Anna, if you have any other questions, if I didn't answer, please let me know.
Tyra wants. Go ahead, Tyra.
So do you guys find that since 2016, that the politics have shifted the way we tell stories? So, for example, our current president has taken because politicians love to tell a story. It's the way they relate with the populace. So our current president now, he doesn't really tell a story. He makes a couple of statements. And with branding, social media, all these social influencers, especially young people today, it's all about branding. So do you find that this abbreviated storytelling, and when you're telling a short story, you got to really make a stab at it. Like you only have a couple of sentences, so you get this kind of shock value. So it seems like it's moved away from the authentic storytelling. And, whether it's TikTok, where you have just a couple of seconds to make a bang. And so how, Doug, do you find that society is shifting because they're abbreviating everything? So how do we bring it back to the expansive expression? I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of organizing my thoughts as I'm saying this. But so politics, how politics has changed the narrative, the way people listen, how branding and social influencers have also changed. And in my opinion, it's great, but it's not so great. So how do we bring it back to a little more authentic? Stacy, did you have something to say to that?
Yeah, just quickly, I want to say I don't think it's so much about how long or short the story is. I think it has to do with whether we're telling our story or we're telling somebody else's story. And I think telling somebody else's story is where we go wrong. I think that I need to tell my story, and whoever hears it will hear it in a way that, fits them. And I think that ties in with the authenticity part and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Alex?
We've got organisations now, large corporations and non-profit government, non-government organisations, and they're all jumping on the AI bandwagon, learning fact-checking with the AI. And people are starting to wake up and realise that it's no longer acceptable to be greedy and bullshit. You need to be fair dinkum, up front and honest, and somehow add value to somebody else's contribution so that grows. Otherwise it doesn't grow. Good ideas can wither and die if they're not supported. So I would always be a great fan of jumping on the bandwagon of whatever idea I think is great, and helping it along by supporting it, by sharing it with friends and sharing the links, creating blogs and things like that, and inviting people. I've got a lot of friends and a lot of networks, so I can easily rustle up a couple of dozen people to join a fledgling startup. Over.
Maybe I can respond to what Tara was saying about storytelling, because what I would say, obviously Doug can also answer, but what I would say is storytelling is fine if somebody wants to tell a story. I mean, that could be part of everything, but it's not the important factor. The important factor is the connection to who you are inside. And if that's coming through in a very genuine way, then, like Stacy says, if you're telling your own story, that can be enormously persuasive and influential. But what really matters is the experience that people have when they allow themselves to be themselves and suddenly realize, as Doug was saying, how far they have come from really being themselves, how far they have allowed themselves to be enslaved by the whole system, and feeling that they don't have any right to express themselves or be themselves. And I think that's what appeals to people about what Doug is doing, is that he's encouraging people just to allow themselves to, that they can be who they are, instead of trying to conform, which is what we're taught really right from the word go, by our education system, by our parents, by the work situation. Everything is telling us, no, you have to be a certain way in order to be acceptable. And okay, that's what I think about storytelling. That it's fine, but it's not an essential part of the puzzle. I'm finished. Josh.
Well, I'm loving this conversation today. I just wanted to say that because this is brilliant. And I saw that Sam joined, and I know in the beginning of the conversation we were talking, I just wanted to be respectful to Glenn because he said he came on to see an open discussion if we were going to talk about how we share the story we're telling together right here and right now, quickly, in a timely manner to Zoom. So people like my friend Cusella, who is on a business call and wants to be on this call, can go back to the recording, which I believe was the main intention of recording it in the first place. But we never as a group discussed a timing of when we're expecting to be posting those recordings for other people that are not here. And so that was the conversation, Glenn, that I would like to have, but I just noticed, I glanced, I was loving this conversation. Is it already 9:38? So I just wanted to bring that up now because we usually do closings, and I know that I saw Sam pop on, so I just want to be respectful for that. So I'm just bringing that up right now, and I'll concede to you, Doug.
Welcome, Sam. Do you want to be heard?
I don't have context yet, so I don't want to interject something that's out of complete left field.
Okay.
I believe I'm heard enough on Saturdays and Sundays, by the way.
Oh, good.
We're still on the issue. We're still on the topic of what do we want to do? How are we going to do it? Where do we want to go? How are we going to get there? Something like that. Agreements. We all want a better world, so we all agree that it's a good idea to cooperate and help each other's projects and links, support, over.
If it's okay. Yeah, if it's okay, I just land the plane and sort of close out this beautiful conversation. Tyra had asked, what is proper, or I don't even, that's not the right word, not proper, but what is integrous, value-based storytelling with our politicians, etc. And I posted a beautiful movie that's a documentary from 2002 that I thought explained how we got here, and it seems old, but it's still relevant, of how politics changed in the 1990s from the perspective of a group in England that I don't want to give too much away, but if you want to watch the movie, because I would, and shortness of time, but it's the idea that in England, they didn't take care of their railway system because the populace said it wasn't important. So they stopped spending money until trains started falling off the tracks. And that's what changed and shaped politics. And that's why Bill Clinton adopted a policy of populist politics and has brought that to an extreme point from 1992 all the way to 2016, where someone who watched that from being a close friend of Bill Clinton, which is Donald Trump, learned how to take populist politics to the complete extreme, where you can let the populace believe something, then contradict the populace to their face. And when they are angry at you, you just got $100 million in free publicity and free marketing and free advertising. And then he could rack up his dollars of getting, I think the number was somewhere in $4 to $5 billion of free marketing in 2015 from the major news networks by saying, Mexicans are rapists. I can shoot you in the face. Anything that would stir the populace to hate you, the more hate he got, the more he polarized and got a following. And no one thought that that type of extreme populist politics would ever lead to a presidency. Everyone thought that that was insane and that could never work. And we were not that disgustingly rotten at the core as a society communicating to each other, but they didn't factor in the manipulation of social media. And he did spend money as a marketing person. I listened to a 3-hour podcast from his marketing expert who showed the ads that he placed in the Rust Belt right before the election in Pennsylvania to just barely squeak by at the minimal amount to get the populist vote, even though he lost the other vote. So I just wanted to put that out there and land the plane and close out that conversation. And with that, I'm complete.
Well, it ain't working for him now. He's losing massively.
That's not clear to me yet.
Fear and hate only take you so far.
They take them pretty far.
Yeah.
No way is he getting reelected. Not gonna happen.
I hope you're right, Glenn. I really hope you're right. But I thought that in 2016, and it blew my mind that the man got elected. And it blows my mind that a large portion of our country still stand behind his whatever it is he's communicating at the moment. And Joshua, that really, thank you. That I'm going to check that out because I like seeing the history of how we get to where we are. I have a quick housekeeping question, and there oftentimes in the chat I'm getting information that I want to copy, but when I go, once we're out of Zoom, I can't access those chats again. Am I doing something wrong? How can I keep?
If you go to the bottom right in the session, if you go to the bottom right of chat, and you'll notice 3 little dots to the right of the word file. And if you click on that, it'll give you the ability to save the chat. And it'll save a local copy to your machine, and then you can access it later.
Again, unless you're on a phone. If you're on a phone, you can't do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm on an iPad, and so,
Just to segue, that's the conversation we're going to have in the beginning that Glenn asked for, and I would like to have that in barn raising with Sam, is the conversation of the artifacts after the fact. And the transcript, Sam has been putting that from YouTube, gives a transcript in Google Documents, and there's a lot of things that we can do to help each other in that vein, as opposed to trying to navigate Zoom. So that I just wanted to say I'd love to have that conversation if there's room, Sam, on Saturday, and I will do my best to make it. I'm traveling, but yeah.
Well, if I may respond to that, say, at least there are the transcripts for the Saturday and Sunday sessions. I believe Doug is recording all the Thursday sessions, but I don't yet know that Doug is actually posting them. So having them posted is the first step towards making the transcripts, and then making the transcripts readable, and then making them, available for other derivative works. At least that's been done for Saturday and Sunday, but I would check with Doug to see whether or not Doug is planning on posting.
Yeah, no, my intention is to post. They're backlogged and queued up. I've been looking for batch and automated mechanisms for processing them rather than doing sort of brute force, uploading to YouTube, generating YouTube channel, all of that stuff. I'm really trying to figure out a solution that will automate a lot of that and produce an output that's actually more susceptible to harvesting nuggets and for people to access video from transcripts and that kind of stuff. So I'd love to be part of that. I don't know whether I can make Saturday. It's the one day that my wife has priority claim on out of the week when I'm not allowed on Zoom. But I will endeavor to
everybody
make it
for an interesting conversation. See you later.
Bye, Anna. Thank you. So, but we are coming up toward top of the hour. I'd love to invite closing shares, comments, and round here because this was particularly juicy for me because I actually got an opportunity to share some stuff that's been in generative process between me and mine for a while. So thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to thank you for the opportunity to voice that and share it. That's a huge gift. Thank you.
Joshua, can you share one hand signal with us that you learned? Okay.
It's a pinky up.
Okay.
And it's a sign for pause. And I'm in distress. There's something going on with me. I'm not open to talk to anyone. I'm closed. I don't want to share with anyone. I'm paused.
Okay.
And the only other one is 2 fingers up means something's stirring for me. And it's stirring. There's something there.
I like that. I want to learn your father's system. I'm really curious.
Me too. Let's learn it together, Doug. I'll show. I want to learn it.
What about?
We've got our own. Yeah, we got Alex. We got our own. We can do.
Well, thanks everybody. Have a great day. Cheers. Great conversation. Bye.
Hey, wait, before you go, Tyra, don't
What?
go, don't go.
What?
The painting behind you. Can you tilt your thing and show the octopus behind you?
Oh, that's Maxine, the octopus. Maxine was my very first painting, which I did, I guess I did it about a year ago. I painted her in acrylic, and it makes me super happy. I was thinking this morning when people ask me what I do, it seems like when they ask you what you do, like there has to be like you get paid to do it, So it's sort of like, well, I don't get paid because it's the process, not the product. So am I still an artist because I don't get paid? I mean, it's funny.
Yes.
This, and yes, I am. I mean, I make stuff to keep my sanity. It's like an 8. As you see, when I'm sitting here, it's so hard for me to sit still. Like to sit on a Zoom call is a major practice in sitting, and because it's very difficult for me. But if I'm drawing while I'm talking to you, it makes it much easier for me to sit. So it's little things like that I've learned to keep me healthy. But yeah, thanks, Joshua. I like sharing my art. Yeah.
Yeah, Tyra, and there's a lady that comes on our calls named Kayla, and she makes Polynesian headbands while she's sitting on the Zoom calls. So she's got it just below the camera, and she's working the whole time, paying attention, but making these beautiful, real live flower arrangements.
Whoa, I want to see those.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe she'll show us sometime. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
she has.
Stuff.
So feel free to do your art, find your camera placement, move around. Yeah, please.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that. Last Saturday, I was needle felting. So that's when everybody's fired up. The Saturday conversation got a little bit heated. I don't know if it was heated, but it was definitely, there was some static going on between, and I was needle felting, so you're poking something and stabbing it. And I thought, boy, that's a good exercise for this kind of conversation, stabbing away.
I thought you had a voodoo
thanks.
doll.
It's like a voodoo doll, yeah. It's great. It's aggressive and fabulous and all that. Okay, well, everybody, have a great day. My mom's coming in today from Idaho, so I'm very excited to have my mommy here. But hopefully I'll catch up with you on Saturday. Okay, bye.
Bye.
I'll also be logging off now, but yeah, just want to say thanks. Great conversation today, and it's happened before that I come here and have some idea about something to speak about, and it goes in a totally different direction, and it's usually a great thing. So the only thing I really want to mention was I had this. I've just sort of felt into a bit of enthusiasm for this software, The Brain, and some ideas about having a GCC brain. So that's also. So I just want to mention that because maybe we'll get more into it on Saturday. I think that's a very exciting idea. So yeah. Anyway, great to see all you guys. Learned a lot today. So bye.
I'll check out. I just wanted to, I'm sorry everybody's checking out and leaving, but because I kind of wanted to just push back and say that I think storytelling is very important, but I think the importance is in calling out the stories that we haven't heard yet. And so I'll push it over to Alex because I'm curious as you check out to know how you felt about sharing this time with us.
Two Alexes on the call.
Alex G, because he mentioned that he had heard about these calls but never came before.
I can check out, I guess. Were you finished, Stacey?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Me, I react very slowly. I'm a contemplative type person, so I listen and I'm processing, and it's going to take me a few hours to process the conversation. So I have a lot to say. It's just not, I can't really articulate it right now, so it's hard. That's why I don't do Zoom calls very often, because it's hard for me to, in real time, to have a conversation. I'm complete.
I'll do check out because the idea that you can make something while you're on a Zoom call is intriguing. And I've got all these ice cream sticks that I made this symbol out of, and I can use it. I can work off screen making screens, garden screens and Japanese screens, and cover them with rice paper as we Zoom, because it doesn't involve much thought. You're only gluing sticks together on a template, and that's Alex Reed logging off. Alex Reed from Save Nature Free logging off. Over.
Chaz, any parting words?
I was just admiring Alex G. It only takes him a couple of hours to absorb all this. But we've been doing this for about 3 years and we still haven't got that. I'm complete.
I was thinking the same thing. Sam, any final words? I know you weren't here, but energetically, you're welcome to share what's living.
I think I heard a little bit about, what did I hear? About Trump usurping the media and making it work for him. I have to admit, I never watched one of his episodes when he was on network TV. I couldn't find anything that was even attractive or educational about those shows. And I always wondered about the so-called apprentices who were anointed with whatever position or title or whatever that, I wonder about their career, whether they actually got any kind of a boost from Trump. And I've never really looked into it that deeply. And Josh says that Clinton played that well. I think it's actually been evolving since the advent of television and mass media. We like the 6-minute sound bites that went to 30 seconds, that went to 6 seconds, and then now you got to do it in 2 seconds. I didn't even know that. So, we bring it upon ourselves when we do this, and then the quote unquote profit mongering companies want to monetize this, so they give us more and more and more and more. So our inputs are, getting more and more minute, down to sound bites and video bites. And it's something that hasn't been balanced. We used to have McNeil Lehrer Hour on Sunday morning. Remember that show? We used to have, many people who were educated. We used to have 60 Minutes on Sunday nights. People would go in depth and actually intelligently, with research, ask questions, based on what they were, reasoning, based on what they were researching, based on a lot of investigative effort. But now you get these reporters just go up to people on the street and say, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And that passes for news. And we watch it. That's why they keep doing it. I haven't had broadcast TV since like 1992 or 1993, by the way. And only after coming to the island did I even finally really get cable, because, it's just part of the internet package that I've got. When I was in San Jose, I didn't even have the cable TV package. I just had the internet package. But now everything's across the internet, so it almost doesn't make any difference anymore. But I'm just saying, as a part of the overall larger trend, we kind of bring this to ourselves. Until we get more conscious, we can't blame mass media. We've got to sort of look at our own habits and what we've brought as a society. And do we want that? Do we want to be more educated, or do we just want to be entertained? Trump is entertaining for many people. I don't think he's educational at all to me. But our behavior dictates what this current system does, and it is a broken system. But we're not going to change it by just playing into its game. So anyway, I just heard a little bit to sort of got me started. So sorry for the mini rant, but that's my check-in and probably also my check-out.
Thank you. Josh, parting words?
I just want to share with you, Sam, the link I put in the chat. I don't know if you came on in time to see. It's a documentary called 8 People Sipping Wine in Kettering. And if you get a chance to read that and would like to come back to an open discussion and discuss that, I would love to hear your thoughts on this documentary, because it was life-changing for me to understand a paradigm shift that happened in the 90s. So I'm not saying it was Bill Clinton. It actually wasn't. It was the politicians in England that started it. He just saw that it was trending and used it. But the one thing I just want to share with the group I learned this week, talking to politicians, is the reason why Ross Perot ran for office, which is what got Bill Clinton elected in the first place, was a personal vendetta against George Bush Sr. because they had some business dealings and he screwed him over. And the reason why Ross Perot ran in Texas is he said, oh, you're going to screw me over? Well, you're not going to become president, and I have the money and the means to make that possible, which is the whole reason why Bill Clinton got elected in the first place. He never would have gotten elected if it wasn't for Ross Perot.
Wow.
So, yeah, it was interesting. But thank you guys for everything. I'm going to let everyone
I remember his charts and his pointer. He'd slam his pointer against these charts.
Yeah.
Ross.
Let me tell you something. It was quite he was an amazing character in history. But Sam, but while I have your ear, is there time on Saturday to discuss helping Doug drag and drop the file after Zoom, or even automate the whole process? So after he closes it out, it drops into a folder. The folder is linked to a Google upload.
Okay. Let me, since you asked the question, let me give you like a 30-second answer. Doug, rather than recording to your local machine, record to zoom.us. If you record to zoom.us, then anybody, whether it's Josh or I or Tammy or Stacy or anybody, can then download it and do whatever is required. As long as it's recorded to your local machine, nobody else can touch it until it gets to someplace that's shareable.
Understood.
That, I think, is tip number one.
Yep.
If you do that, then anybody, including Josh or I or Alex or anybody, can then do anything that's required after that. But that very first step, that last
Understood.
mile.
Understood. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Agreed.
You're the
Agreed.
only one that controls that. Nobody else does.
Understood.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Thanks for co-creating this. It was terrific. Have a wonderful remainder of Friday, Alex.
The